Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. I love you guys. Today I'm bringing you a hot trend that is getting hotter in 2021 called Cottagecore. To me, my interpretation of it is a Jane Austen meets Little House on the Prairie. It's the English cottage. It's a romanticized version of farmhouse, home, baked bread. It's a really neat decor style, and I thought it would be fun to have my hand at some DIYs. And of course, as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this DIY, I'm using 2 glass bowls from the Dollar Tree, and that candlestick is actually from the Dollar Tree too. I got that when it very first opened up in my area. They don't carry the tall candlesticks anymore, and if you can't find that, go ahead and use 2 small ones and glue them upside down onto each other. Now for this DIY, I definitely want it to stay put, and I chose to glue the candlestick upside down. So I'm using E6000 for a super strong hold on this, and I do let it dry overnight before I go out and spray paint it. So I don't know about you all, but when these things are not centered, they drive me nuts. I'm going to stand up in a minute so I don't get my head in the camera, and you can see me making sure that it's centered. But when it dries overnight, I take it outside and I give it a coat of this Rust-Oleum chalk paint in chiffon cream, really beautiful color, and I spray paint it upside down. So I'm showing you here when I'm rubbing my hand that there's no paint inside the bowls. Now the problem I ran into, I didn't want to take a chance. I want it to be versatile in my kitchen, and if I want to store some oranges down at the bottom level or some bananas, I didn't want to worry about any toxicity issues. Even, I still would stick with the thick skinned fruit at the bottom just to be, sure. But because of that, I chose to do the center in a non-toxic acrylic paint. So this is the color Antique Parchment from Apple Barrel Paint. It is a non-toxic acrylic paint, so it will be fine for the food to lean against. I'm not even going to seal the center because I don't want to have to worry. If you want, you can look into different sealants that are food safe. There's a lot of information online about that. I do end up having to add a little bit of white to this paint just to get a perfect match, because when it dries it goes a little dark. But the edging in the Dollar Tree bowls in the glass is absolutely gorgeous. It is so high end, and it is so perfect for cottagecore DIY home decor. So back in February 2020, when I was hitting those thrift stores before the storm hit, I found this, and it was 50% off because they were still having their 50% off sale. So I got it for $1.50, and I just thought it was so beautiful. It's real wood, carved in with those edgings, and I've been waiting to do something with it, and I thought this was perfect because it definitely has that cottagecore vibe. Now I took it outside, I gave it a coat of a white primer, and then I took and spray painted it with the same Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the chiffon cream that I did with the tier tray, and it still just looked yucky to me. I didn't like it. So I brought it in and I did some custom mixing with the white and the Apple Barrel paint in the Antique Parchment, and I got this beautiful cream color, and I'm just painting it on, and then we finally get the look that I'm after. This just looks perfect, and I want to bring out all of those vines and little flowers that are in there because that, again, when I was shuffling through online, looking at all of the different cottagecore, you don't really see DIYs. You see more kitchens styled that way, bathrooms, living rooms. So you just get a feeling for the vibe. And I just knew that if I kind of stayed in these color themes, I was going to pick up a nice energy of the English cottage in the countryside. My mother's from England, and a lot of her school friends from her school days moved out to the countryside. And when we would go to visit, she would drive out there and take me to go see her girlfriends. And they had this kind of decor all over. In fact, I feel like the cottagecore vibe is actually finally giving, we do French country, we do French farmhouse, we do all these kinds of different decor. I feel like this is finally giving the stereotype, not everybody in the country decorates this way, but like a stereotyped vision of what we think when we think of an English cottage out in the countryside. We think this kind of decor, this kind of vibe. It's just very, very beautiful. So the final thing I do, as you could see, I lightened up the green a little bit because it dried a little darker than I wanted. And then I'm just dry brushing some of the cream color over it to give it a more muted look. And this just came out so romantic, so Jane Austen, and just perfect. It's a beautiful accent piece for this style. So I found this jug at the Goodwill last year, and it was perfect for what I wanted to do. I just give it a coat of this paint because this paint, it has such good coverage. I knew it would cover everything in one sweep, but I actually saw a photo in the Cottagecore photos that I was looking at online where they had put a super light pink jug on a kitchen counter with baby's breath in it. I mean, the pink was so light, it's almost like a blush. And it was just perfect for that whole little cottage scene. So this is what we're going for. I don't know how many of you guys watch Mary from White Cottage Company. I love her. But she actually found this exact same jug in a thrift store last year and did a makeover. I think she painted it white. But it's like nobody wanted this jug in 2020. It was in thrift stores all over the United States. But there you go, you guys. Some baby's breath. It's perfect. I love the way this came out. So as I was making the home decor, it occurred to me we need some accent pieces. Never underestimate accent pieces. They are so important. It's that couch you buy that means absolutely nothing until you buy the right pillows and suddenly you've got a whole vibe going on in your home. So this is an accent piece to kind of pull in a little bit more of the cottagecore vibe. So I'm using a little house shape. I don't know where this came from. It was part of a craft supply package a subscriber sent me. Thank you so much, by the way. You know who you are. I'm guessing it's from Walmart or the Dollar General because she said she only shops at the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, or Walmart. And I'm just drawing some shiplap lines on with pencil. I'm going to blur them a little bit with my eraser. But I chose to do this little accent piece, and it has the word blossom. I'm going to glue a medallion down in a minute here that says blossom, because the cottagecore vibe, when you look it up online, has a lot to do with flowers and countryside. There's girls picking flowers, there's flowers drying upside down in the kitchen. And when I read about it, what is cottagecore? Part of what they talk about is when everybody had to, they were shut in from COVID, they started baking bread, they started making their own medicinal herbs and drying out flowers and just kind of becoming more self-reliant, and it started trending really hard on TikTok and it became known as cottagecore. So just getting, I think, back down to those core values. So it was a really beautiful thing that emerged out of a bad situation, and we have now some very beautiful home decor. So this little accent piece, I started out thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this, and it ends up being one of my favorite DIYs. I don't know if the camera does it justice, but there's just something about the color combos on here. It's a feel-good piece. It just makes you feel so good, and it really ties in the look that I'm going for. So I want this to stand up, and I don't know about you all, but I save my little back pieces right there if I'm not going to use them, if I tear them off for another DIY, so that I can glue them onto the DIYs that I want to stand up. And that's it. And I think this came up so, so cute. For this DIY, this is another treasured thrift find that I found in February 2020. That was actually the last time I thrifted. I grabbed so much stuff because I knew the storm was coming. There it is, February 10th, you guys. It says it right there, 2020. It was $5.99. I got it for $3 on that half day off, and I was originally going to do that dupe right there from Antique Farmhouse, but then I saw this on the Cottagecore scene. And the greens, there's that certain green. It's really hot. You saw it earlier. The pictures I'm actually showing you along with the reveals are from actual photos that show Cottagecore decor. And they have that really neat green color. I absolutely love it. And it's easily assimilated into farmhouse decor as well. And I thought it would be fun just to kind of have a little bit more accent in my home. So I start off spray painting this twice, but I don't want the smooth finish. So I'm still going to go ahead and brush on some Kilz, K-I-L-Z, white primer with a brush, just so we get the faux wood lines, because that looks better. I think this was originally like a child's little stepping stool or something, and so it was really, it's that fake wood that's really shiny. So I just wanted, to make it look more like wood. And I know a lot of you are freaking out right now going, oh, what is she doing with that color green? Don't worry, it's all going to come together. Have faith. we are improvising because we did not have the right color green. And I'm just one of those people, I don't really want to go somewhere and leave in the middle of my project. I just want to make it work. And so I just knew I could make it all come together with my mixing of colors and different layers of colors. I knew we would land in the right place. So I start off adding a little bit of the charcoal gray on top, and I realized now that's too dark to start with. We need a lighter gray. And these are all apple barrel paints. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but the color that I'm doing right here is a little bit of the Country Gray by Apple Barrel, and I'm just kind of dry brushing it on. I'm going to use a baby wipe to smear it. And by the way, the green color I used is called Lime Sherbet. That's the color, just in case you want to recreate this on another DIY. But essentially what I end up doing is just giving a super cloudy gray look over the entire green surface. So everywhere there's green, I go through and dry brush, really dry brush, where it's so smeared it's like a blurred cloud. I hope that makes sense. You can see how I'm pressing the brush really hard. It's because it's almost like I'm trying to take the paint off, and I go through this process about 4 times until I literally change the color of the green. Now here comes the second coat, and you can see how dramatically, it's already changed so much. It doesn't look like the original green. And I'm going to continue to do that to the entire piece. And something I do want to mention too, I do end up finding it very helpful to dip my brush in a little bit of water, tap out just the excess moisture, and then use a very wet brush to do this, because it kind of helps smear the paint more. I hope that makes sense again. It made the paint have a great glide factor, and it made it so that it was like a watercolor covering the entire green. So that also created this look here where it looks like a totally different green. And now I'm taking the color Pavement by Apple Barrel, and I'm just doing a little bit of distressing on the edge of this. And for those of you that are new to my channel, I love using my fingers. Sorry, I just feel like I have more control. I'll use my palm, my fingers, whatever I need to. As you can see, I'm just kind of smearing it here, and anything goes because this is supposed to be that little distressed country look. So don't worry if you make a mistake, if you decide to kind of age something in the same color and same look, it's not that big of a deal. And lastly, I'm taking some white and I'm smearing white all over the top of this because it was a little darker or dirtier maybe than I wanted it to be, and the white does the trick. So these are the Dollar Tree rub-on transfers. They're my favorite ones. Thank you to the subscriber who sent me these as well. She sent me a bunch of these, and they are perfect for the cottagecore look. If you get a chance and go online and look, you'll see a lot of vines painted sideways on ladders, on tables, on little stools like this. It couldn't get any more perfect than these rub-on transfers. So I'm going sideways, and I love that none of them are the same, because for this piece, those kinds of accents make it look more high-end. You know, it doesn't have that cookie cutter print like a factory print. It looks very, very custom made. A little tricky around the bend here, you guys. You got to hold it down really tight. And I'm using the Dollar Tree embossing tool. Shout out to Camaro from Dying to DIY. That is a channel I found from YouTube's autoplay. You know, when you're watching YouTube, how they just move you on to the next video. And thank goodness, because she is a really fun channel to watch. Check her out when you get a chance. Super cute girl. Reminds me of my son's girlfriend. But anyway, I'm just doing little accents on the sides, on the corners, not very many, because I think less is more with this. It looks more expensive, but this came up absolutely perfect. I couldn't have, you know, wished for it to be better than it came out. It's my favorite DIY today. Let me know what you guys think. I absolutely love the cottagecore vibe, and I hope it sticks around for a while. I think it assimilates beautifully into farmhouse if you love farmhouse decor. And if you had fun today too, don't forget to smash that like button. And as always, until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.